Hello and welcome back to episode 60 of the Nordic Takedown podcast. Pretty nice number today, even though I said that last week too. I'm here together with Adam.
Hello. This has been a while. 3 weeks, we said. One of my longer breaks from the
Yes,
podcast.
a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you.
If you haven't caught up, last week we had Myhre from Denmark on talking about the team event that's going to happen the 18th of May or 17th maybe. And then before that we had Specky.
Yeah.
So been a really good episodes. But today we have another exciting one because we have Thorrk as a guest. Welcome.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And really cool to have you on. We've been having you on the guest list since probably episode 1, but episode 60 we made it.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
And it's not like we don't collaborate, right? We were always like casting together. So and now Adam is in my team, so it's like
it's all coming together.
It's true. Like it's been a long time coming. It's probably weird that it took so long, but now we're here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So let's look at the agenda for today. We'll just do our Cantina catch-up first, and then we will, of course, get to know Thorrk more and your journey into Stars Unlimited and talk a bit about your channel, and then bridging over to the team you mentioned, Enigma. That's really exciting. And then our last and maybe main topic is going to be a little bit discussing and preparing for Lille, because it's almost just a week now when this episode airs. So that's super exciting.
Like it's gonna, if nothing goes bad and it goes out on Thursday, it's gonna be like 1 week and 2 days or something. So yeah.
Okay, so Adam, what has been happening for you since last time?
Yeah, like now that it's been 3 weeks, I've been. I was on the Cantina Brawl. Sadly, only ending up third, just winning 6 booster packs instead of 3 booster boxes
of Carbonite.
Yes, of Carbonite. It was an insane prize pool tournament. Was really fun. Either way, like you was going back with me afterwards as well.
Yeah,
like
that's really nice.
Like and I had a friend from Costa that is just getting into the game, so it was nice to not travel alone. So that was fun. A lot of the best Scandinavian players was there. Like the meta was a little bit as I expected. It was just I didn't tech for a Han Green, and that's what killed me. Other than that, just practicing for Lille, I guess.
Cool.
And I think I had not joined the team Enigma before that either. It wasn't announced, at least. So
true.
So that's also new.
That's really cool news. More on that later.
Yeah.
I was on last time talking about with Myhre and Jason about the event, but since then I actually got to go to locals in Oslo because I was there over Easter. That was really, really nice and fun to meet all the players again that I hadn't seen since the Oslo PQ. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, and also of course playing a little bit to test for Lille. Haven't had the most time. I feel like when I'm doing this trip I should prepare more, but it's gonna be fun regardless, even though I might not be the most prepared. So now let's get to know our guest a little bit more. Thorrk, I mean, most of our listeners probably know your channel, but we want to get to know you a little bit more. Like, where did this all start? Maybe with card games, but also games in general.
Oh my god! So yeah, this is a long one. Well, my journey into gaming started. So obviously, like most of you guys, I mean, we've been in the late '90s. I mean, actually, I'm quite a bit older than you, Jonah. But like, in the late '90s, it was all about like console. So we had I have 5 brothers, so we just had like a Nintendo 64 and stuff. So we love playing video games. But the thing is, like, we had a rule at home was that we were not allowed to play more than half an hour of video games per day, which is not a lot.
No.
But since there are like 5 of us back then, it was
Ah.
kind of needed, because otherwise it was just like, because we would be watching each other play.
Yeah.
So as a result, I found a cheat code, and the cheat code was to play tabletop gaming, because tabletop gaming was fantastic, because it was like gaming, but it did not count for the half an hour thing.
Oh yeah.
So it was
loophole.
Yeah, that was a loophole, and this is how I got into tabletop games. Started like playing board games, started board games and stuff. And then one day, my uncle put me into a gaming store, which was a Game Workshop's store, where I got to play, what I get to discover what 40K was, and I had no idea. And this was an absolutely incredible thing for me. And then from that point on, I was just like dreaming, breathing Warhammer 40K. Once again, was back in the late 90s. And I was 7 years old, and this changed my life, like really. So obviously, my parents would not allow me to play Warhammer until I was 12, because you have to do all the paintings and assembling and stuff. So they thought I was not mature enough to play. So I had to find other games to play, waiting for becoming old enough to play Warhammer. Basically,
That's 5 years of waiting. That's a long time.
that is a long time. I mean, the good thing is, like, my brother ended up just playing Warhammer at 13, and he was like 4 years older than me. So basically, I got to play Warhammer when I was around 10, 11, but I could not have my own army. I was just playing it. But then basically, I had to find other games I could play in the meantime, and this is where I found out about Magic. So I played Magic the Gathering at 7 years old, basically. Didn't have really any money to play the game, so I just like buying. So I was buying. I had we were now very little pocket money, basically, when I was young, so I couldn't really play the game really properly, but I just have fun. So then basically from that point on, I just did a lot of Warhammer up to when I was 18, and then I realized that Warhammer was a great game, but I was getting a little bit more competitive, and I really wanted to play something that could be playing at a competitive level. And Magic is a far better game for competitive than Warhammer is. And this is where I jumped back into Warhammer at the beginning, but it was very expensive, so I was just kind of like playing online with free programs just to be able to play Magic. And this is how I really played like a lot of Magic. I play all formats. I play mostly like Eternal format, like Legacy, Modern, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I started traveling a lot. I became a student, so I was traveling a lot. So I couldn't really play Warhammer anymore. It was taking too much space, and I also didn't really like the new rules and stuff. So I made the full switch into Magic at that point. So I was playing all over the world, and I was really starting to be very competitive. So I played like Magic for like about 20 years. I played many other card games in between. So I played like the old like Decipher Lord of the Rings TCG. I played what's it called? I played Legends of Runeterra. I played Duelist, like some online card games when I was broke again.
Legends of Runeterra was so good if you didn't want to spend any money.
Yes.
Completely free if you just played a lot.
Yeah. I spent $100 at the beginning, knowing that and then I was like, why did I spend this? Like,
I did the same, like maybe 50 or something, like to get it started, and I felt like I got nowhere, and then I just played and had everything, and I was like, that was a waste of $50.
Yeah, very generous game. But yeah, no, I played plenty of games. I also played like the Duelist, which is the card game with like positioning and stuff, that I really like. So I played loads of different card games basically, and then I played Legend of the Five Rings, an LCG. Was quite good at it, and then but it basically died in my local community. And basically what happened is, like, I've heard the first announcement of Star Wars Unlimited. I was like, pretty much like everybody, I was kind of like, another Star Wars game from FFG that they're gonna give up on after 2 years. I was not excited about the style, the graphical style as well. So like, and I'm not a Star Wars fan. Like, I enjoy Star Wars games, but because they're good games, not because they're Star Wars. For me, Star Wars, like, I think it's really nice, but I'm not a Star Wars fan by any means. So for me, Star Wars is not really like a big argument for me to get into the game. So really what pulled me into the game is really only the gameplay, which is crazy because I'm a very visual person. Like I obviously play Warhammer. Like for me, the aesthetic of a game is extremely important to me.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was able to get into this game despite
The
the lack
awful
of
aesthetic.
yeah, despite the aesthetic is a testimony of how good the gameplay is. And I
Yeah.
basically I was looking for a new physical card game because I was playing Legends of Runeterra for a while, and I was really missing that camaraderie, the real life experience that I had in Magic. I didn't want to go back in Magic because every time I go back to Magic, I instantly remember why I stopped playing it.
And why
Every
was
time.
that?
Lands,
Ah.
honestly, just lands. That's honestly is the main problem with me with Magic.
Yeah.
And every time I go back to Magic, I just remember why I quit it. And so I was looking for physical card. I tried like a Lorcana. I thought the game was not that great, and also I just didn't want to play with princesses and stuff like that. Like
Yeah, Lorcana is okay. I play it now sometimes here because that's what they play locally. But it's not like unlimited, like not even close.
yeah, I mean from a gameplay, it's fine. It's just like for me, like theme is important. Like so, Star Wars is not really a big deal one way or another. But I don't want to be playing a game with like princess and lions and like Disney. I love Disney, but I don't want Disney to into my game. Like I just like yeah,
Yeah,
yikes.
that's fair.
And
That's fair enough.
yeah. It's just it's the same for Pokemon. Like I love Pokemons, but I don't know if I would be able to want to play a game about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a bit anyway. So I like very mature theme in general. I like my favorite kind of stuff is like I like dark fantasy stuff like that. So for me, like this is like a very big stretch. Already, Star Wars is already like too nice for me already. Like, I like the nitty gritty. That's like I like 40k. Like I like very dark,
Brutal stuff.
Yeah.
dark theme.
So I guess you're not a fan of SpongeBob coming into Magic now.
Well, it's only a secret layer, but yeah,
Right.
I think this makes me want to vomit like this whole stuff. Like, but, yeah, I'm glad I'm not on this anymore.
So
you know.
Before we move into more of the Star Wars case, I have to ask you now because you played Runeterra. Like, did you enter like lore masters with Ireland and stuff? Like, as a
No,
team?
I played mostly set 1 and set 2. And
Yeah,
there were
just
no big
before it.
tournaments back in those.
Yeah.
The time when I was really serious in the game was really set 1, set 2.
Yeah.
So I was the
almost.
highest rank, like the purple ones. Is it called?
Yeah, master. Yeah.
Yeah, I was master, but I was not. I never played any tournaments on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So going back to my card game. So I started playing Star Wars Limited.
Early.
Basically very early. Yeah, in September 2023.
Yeah, you
So
were
about
my first opponent ever. Actually.
Oh, was it?
What?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's actually I didn't know it then. Like actually, not even like until I saw your channel for the first time. I was like, I'm so recognizing that voice because I tried it out like a bit early, and I think you were already on that Vader green, like ramping like crazy stuff early,
Yeah.
and like oh, that's the guy I played the first game of Unlimited that I played. So yeah,
And that was on Take the Initiative, or
it was online gaming.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
Yeah, it was actually my
Just casual.
It's funny because my very first game of Star Wars Limited was against the AI, against the full stable. But then my first game against a human being was online, was against Tower Number 9.
Oh.
And this game has been streamed. So you can actually go on Tower Number 9's channels and you can check my very first game of Star Wars Limited. I was playing.
That's cool.
That was just after Sabine just got revealed. So basically,
Tower was playing
yellow. Tower was playing a yellow Sabine, very like old school. Like there's no protocols I believe in back then. There's none of that stuff. I was playing Tarkin Green. I remember. So that was very cool. So I fell in love with the game. I also really enjoyed playing before release because every week was a different meta. You got new cards coming in. it was wild. It was so great. Like you had a card like Agent Callus was one of the best card in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
thought
Agent
he was
Callus
going to
was
be
like
awesome.
super meta.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's cool.
I actually played the very first tournament ever organized for Star Wars Unlimited. It was a community tournament organized by the community. And there were some content creators, like Tower Number 9 was one of them. Wu was also playing the tournament.
Ooh,
Wow.
yeah.
So, and guess who won?
I
You
assume
did?
Yes. Yes. And I won with Vader Green, actually.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
the
that
top
must have
8
been good.
was 6 Boba Green, 1 Vader Green, and 1 Sabine. And I basically like kind of trampled through a sea of Boba Green to get into the final. Because back then, Vader Green had a really good matchup against Boba, and nobody knew that. And I also had a special strategy where I was basically kind of ramping into Vader on turn 3. Which
I remember that.
Yeah.
ECL or
So yeah, it's with ECL basically you need the like two you need 3 ramps, and one of those ramps needs to be a super laser technician. And you can pull like Vader turn 3, and I was very strong. And so that was kind of fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
But you know, it was a good time. The meta was changing every week.
Yeah.
You had card like, for example, like ATST was like super meta. ATST into ECL was like super strong. So it was very interesting. So I really fell in love with the game. And then after that point, I just realized that I had a lot of knowledge about the game. I was also like won a couple of tournaments in. So I was doing really well, and I realized I had a lot of knowledge about the game. And then a friend of mine called Rosaldo, which is now actually the community manager for Team Enigma, actually came to me and he told me, Pierre, you know too much. You need to make a YouTube channel. You need to make your own content.
Okay.
And I was seeing Tower Number 9 just making content, just literally just showing him screen and stuff on the screen, very simple, no cutting, just. And I said, listen, I'm just gonna do that. I'm gonna make videos where I talk about the game, no cutting, no editing, and no guest. It's kind of like my all my stuff, so I can pull out contents very easily. And this is what I did, and I just share everything I knew about the game, and eventually the channel took off, and that's what happens. So that's
really great.
It's a decision that I've made about 1 week before the release of the game, basically. So it happened relatively late in my journey into Star Wars Unlimited. I already played the game for about 8 months before I started making content. And it was not the plan at all to make content at the beginning.
Yeah. So it's the first time for you, right? Making content about video games.
Absolutely.
Or games in general. Yeah. That's really cool that you took that step. And I do remember in the beginning, I feel like kind of you popped off with the Han Green deck tech.
Yes. At the beginning, so my very first videos were like tier list videos. I was just enjoying making, reviewing every single card in the game.
Yeah.
But that was very, very like kind of advanced knowledge for people who didn't know anything about the game.
Yeah.
Like people, when they just start a game, they just want a deck list instead of just reviewing every single card, because they don't know enough about the game to know what so they prefer deck list. And then I put out this Han Green, which is still today my favorite leader, and still is a leader that I thought was really good back then. And I was the only one training it. I actually was one of the first player who ever built this deck, because I built this deck literally when it spoiled. And back in those days, you would be building Han Green, and the only green white card in the entire game was literally Akbar and Omar. So you were basically building like Han Green with that, and it was still pretty good. Like you could, but it was missing something. And then U-wing reinforcement came, and then I just put the deck back, and then the deck started becoming really, really actually a thing. So yeah, the deck was really fun to play with, and I knew the leader was going to be busted sooner or later, and it was. So yeah, and also
Still
because it
is.
was such a hard deck to play, I was really keen into learning it a lot, because I knew that as soon as it was going to become a thing, I would have an edge, knowing the deck very well, or knowing the leader very well. So
yeah, that deck was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed playing it in set 1 meta. It was kind of what got the spark going for me as well. I think the first deck I played was a Han Red. and then of course just tried a lot of different stuff. But the Han green deck, that was really what made it really fun.
Yeah, if you didn't know, in this version of this deck, I was notably playing Vanguard Haze. So
Yeah.
if people don't
that I
know,
remember.
it's a 1/1 for 2 that gets a permanent +1/+1 experience for each unit you've played before him. And the strategy was that you would be pulling Ewing, and then you'll be pulling 2 other units alongside the Vanguard Ace, and the Vanguard Ace would be coming at a 4/4 for 2 basically. And it would really make your Ewing very, really strong. So now
Yeah.
it's still, I think it's still a decent combo. The only problem is like you can't really afford to make cards that are literally useless just to make your Ewing better. So it's kind of like a
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, I think we have a last bullet here on the your journey into the game and the channel, and it's actually a question from Victor from the podcast. He wanted to know a bit like how your like what drives you both as a player and content creator, and how do these roles kind of diverge or overlap in your experience with the game?
Yeah. So something that is a really big problem is like I don't like grinding.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who likes to spend a lot of time in the plane playing tournaments after tournaments. Like for example, I could have theoretically done Milan and then Liverpool the week after. I could have done it if I wanted to, but I decided not to because I don't like it. I don't like playing tournament after tournament. One large tournament per season is enough for me. So at the same time, I'm a competitive player. I want to do well. I want to perform, and I love trying new decks. I'm basically a mix between an explorer and a competitor. I like to explore new options, but I also like to compete. In the team, we have both. We have explorers like Beton, and we have competitors like Sip.
Yeah.
And then there's players that are a bit of a hybrid like me, like myself. And basically, and then so yeah, it's a bit like kind of. So yeah, I don't try to perform at all cost. It needs to be enjoyable, and for me, grinding is not enjoyable. So this is definitely a big thing that prevents me from doing better. It's like obviously, if I was taking part in more tournament, I would do better. But I just decide consciously to not to do that because for me the fun, like at the end of the day, it's only a game. There's no money on the line. Like there's very little money to be made out of this game, at least for the at least on the competitive side of things. So there's no reason to torture yourself and just make this not enjoyable. And I also not sure my wife would appreciate it very much.
Yeah.
So and as far as like, so what drives me is basically doing well because I like to perform. Obviously, I like to. I think it also brings it helps my channel knowing that I do well in tournaments. That it makes it so my voice is more heard by people. People take me a little bit more seriously because I do perform in tournaments. So that obviously synergize well. However, I would say so. Something that I wanted to say though is that being a content creator is not an advantage. So being a competitive player is an advantage for being a content creator. So doing well in tournament does help you to get your voice recognized as a content creator. But the other way around is not true. Like being a content creator does not help you being a better player. And I'll explain you why. The problem is if you have to be a content creator, unless you're a Rebel resource, you have to play a wide variety of different decks. Like you have to be playing like I need to make deck text about a wide variety of different decks. And if I want my deck tech to be qualitative, to be good, I need to play a lot of those decks. I need to improve those decks. So I need to spend a significant amount of time playing decks that I probably will never play in tournaments, or decks that simply just are not like I could just can't be playing every decks in and this is in Star Wars Limited. Players who are specialized in one deck have a huge advantage over people who don't. Because Star Wars Limited is a game that is not so much about the deck choice, but more about how well you're able to pilot the deck. You see players performing regularly with decks that are considered to be not meta. That's because they know their deck very well. I mean, obviously, having the flexibility to choose a deck is an advantage. But I would say if you have to spend your time learning one deck very, very well, if that deck is strong, you are much better spending out your time learning this deck inside out than trying to learn 5 different decks.
Yep.
And the problem is, like, as a content creator, you have to do that. Otherwise, you're gonna you can't just make a YouTube channel just on one deck. Like, just not really viable.
Yeah, I get that. And even making content also takes time, and we all have limited time in our spare time, so then you don't get time to practice. So it really is a balance there.
Yeah, there's that too. There's the time spent, but that is a small amount of time. Like, whenever you're making a video about a deck, like, making the video itself takes, at least it takes me an hour.
Yeah.
Like, shooting the video and then I post it, like, and then I make a banner. It takes me 10 minutes to make the banner, and that's it. What really takes time is the amount of testing you have to do, which is fun. I love playing different decks. I love deck building. So it's fun, but it doesn't help you becoming a better player, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Then I think we should move on and talk a bit about Team Enigma.
Sounds good.
And it's a relatively recent announcement, if you haven't heard, but I guess most listeners have. So what is the team all about?
Yeah, so basically my initial idea was to be able to playtest, to gather some of the best players in Europe to try to have a playtest group and try to kind of like make them play against one another and try to learn from one another. And so I was inviting like a lot of very good players, and I thought that the more the merrier. The more players we have, the better it is, because then the easier is it to find games and against very good players, and then we can share more ideas and stuff. The problem is, like, we reached a point where in this playtest group we had so many people that at some point people were not sharing information anymore because they were too afraid of giving out information to their direct competitors.
Yeah.
So the size of the group ended up basically backfiring. So I said, okay, well, listen, instead of making this huge playtest group, I'm going to select the best players from that group, and what I consider to be the best player, because obviously my perception might be biased. And then I'm going to make a team with that. And this team is going to be a lot more involved, where I'm going to ask players to come on a weekly basis to play the game. I'm going to... information will have to be shared. There are no options to hold back information and stuff. And I'm only going to be selecting at most 2 players from each countries. So then there's no overlap. I'm not getting 6 players from Poland. Even though I would, if I was still going to be selecting the best players, I would probably have to do that.
Yeah.
But no,
Poland is really good at card games.
Poland. Yeah. I'm taking 2 people from Poland. So initially we had 2 people from Poland, 2 people from UK. I mean, I'm in Ireland, but it's the same area where I when I go to take part in big tournaments, I go to UK. So we got 2 from UK region, 2 from Poland, and 2 from Germany. And now we have 1 from Sweden now with Adam, obviously.
Yeah.
So this is the way that we're not overlapping each other. We're not going to be competing against one another in most of the tournaments. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So the idea was to simply create the best team in Europe. Basically, that was kind of the idea, or at least trying to. And then obviously building a brand around that team, and making it so we can be recognized, and maybe we can bring joy and entertainment. I think it's more entertaining to follow a competitive scene where there's different teams as well. I think it's better for the viewers as well. Oh, this guy's from this team, and I don't know. I found it cool, basically.
Yeah, but like teams and stuff grows every sport, right? So like every esport or like regular sport, it's the team games is the ones that gets most following, not the single player ones usually. So like just adding the team aspect to it is like, except the part that is just more fun to play with other players and call them teammates. It's also like just better for the scene, and like gives extra content for the casters that are casting those games.
Yeah.
Like it just brings value to all parts, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not only about like having testing partners, it's also having friends. Like also we selected players that we get along very well. And like in Liverpool, it was just wonderful. We were just in the house with Al. Al is the one who was hosting, and we're just like literally going to the restaurant together, then going home, watching the Denver sector qualifiers with and just having fun and it was just we were just a group of friends at this point. We're not even teammates anymore. Like we're just a group of friends and just enjoying the time. It's just way more than just a team in terms of what it brings is like the logistic of having people who can come in. Now like if there's a tournament in Ireland, I can welcome people, and it's not gonna happen, but but like it has real positive effects that are far beyond just sharing knowledge and training together.
And one thing that I think is super cool about your team too is it's a lot of players from like active players in the community, like with YouTube channels, even like you and the Soup Racers. Al has a channel now. You got Adam, and Dylan has been like one of the pillars of Take the Initiative earlier, like always playing with games. And Tim, does he have a channel too?
No, it doesn't. But he's That's not what that is not a criteria for us.
Right? Yeah. But it's like super cool that we can follow you because you also share a lot.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, we like to share. We like to everything synergize, right? It's like being good players, and then you can share your knowledge. It allows us to get some recognitions, and it's really nice.
Yeah. Okay, then my last question, at least, is there any is there any story about behind the name? Who came up with it?
Oh yeah, so when choosing a name, I had the very, very bad idea to think that if I make people vote for a name, we will end up with the best outcome because we put multiple brain. I did not realize that I did not select those players for their artistic taste. I selected because they were good at Star Wars Unlimited. And unfortunately, that's really what they're good at. And then they have absolutely zero taste whatsoever. So I used Democracy. And Democracy chose a name that is so awful, I have a problem. I'm going to tell you. So the name was Top Deck Architects. That was the name of the team.
Okay.
Absolute trash name. And it was the majority voted. And
sounds like cheaters, like all of them. Like architects.
So and I said, okay, guys, we're not gonna do Democracy. I'm gonna choose the name, and we're gonna stick to it. Luckily enough, everybody's kind of like doesn't really care so much. So I said, okay, I'll just take care of this. They don't realize how important that is. And this is where I chose Enigma. And so I chose the name. Because I'm the only person who has artistic taste in this team. Apparently.
Okay, very helpful.
And same for the logo. I also make them vote for a logo. Adam was not in the team yet, so he's not responsible for that.
Yeah.
But basically, I also kind of went into like the logo, and same. This shows an absolutely atrociously bad logo. And I say, okay, well, I made the logo, and then I make them choose between different options, and they choose the worst option, obviously. So I said, okay, I'm gonna choose the logo as well. And I choose a logo that synergizes well with the name. So the idea of the name is that Enigma is obviously, it's the coding machine from Second World War, made by the German. And it's funny because it was made by the German, it was stolen by the Polish, and it was deciphered by a UK/Polish team. So, and it's funny because that's what we have. We have German, we have Polish, and we have English in the team. So it has this kind of a double meaning as well. Yeah. So it's kind of cool. And the idea is to say that the meta is sort of an enigma. It's sort of a machine that we are trying to decipher together. Yeah. And we're trying to find, because this is what it's all about. Whenever you are in a training card games training team, we are trying to find out what is the right deck for the meta. We're trying to decipher the meta to find the right. So we already did this with the Django deck. Our very specific Django version from Enigma was a Django deck that was playing loads of one drop, which I think was a key aspect of the deck that made it so good, because double one drop opening was the key to make Django even more busted, especially in early game. And it was a key part of what made this deck successful. And I think people who didn't have double one drop opening, they were not as successful against many decks. Like, there was a lot of decks that were that were not so great of a matchup. But then when you had double one drop opening day, the only problem was like double one drop opening was bad again in the mirror match. But that's just the only problem. But you could actually work the first like play is not that important in this matchup anyway. So anyway, that was so, and we're gonna do it again. We're gonna do it every time. Try to find the right deck, and that's what we do. We'll try to decipher the meta. Basically, that's the meaning behind it. And the logo is kind of a futuristic sort of machine, Enigma machine, with a sort of like it has like nods, like Star Wars nods that you like. You see like R2 would put his stuff in it and just turn it around and like it has this if you look closely, it has those kind of like little I don't know what you call this in English, little holes that are a bit Star Warsy and stuff. And from far away, the it looks a little bit like a skull, which is kind of cool as well. So it's I think it's a really good logo.
Yeah. And you mentioned something there, finding the best deck for a tournament and cracking the meta. I'm really curious to hear how many of you guys are attending Lille.
So we have 4 people attending Lille right now, which is that is maybe 5. So we have Sip, Beton, Adam. So Tim.
Yeah.
And then maybe Alia, he hasn't confirmed yet.
Okay.
So pretty much everybody except me and Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan is a teacher, so he doesn't have very flexible vacations.
Yeah.
And me, my wife is very, very pregnant. So it started to become difficult for me to go anywhere until the baby is born. And also Lille was actually not easy at all for me to go because it's very poorly. It's very difficult to get there by plane. You have to go first to Belgium, and then it's and then you have to. It was kind of a mess to get there as well. So
I'm actually flying to Paris, then taking the train from there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trip. So
yeah, but that's super cool. Still having 4 or 5 of you coming.
Yeah,
and that's bridging our topic now over to the bit of a meta discussion and expectations for Lille. Because it's right around the corner, and this will probably be even bigger than Milan and Liverpool, right?
Yeah, it's good. I have a hard time seeing it not being bigger. It's like 3 times the Swedes or 4 times the Swedes that are going to this event compared to those. So I assume the same thing for other countries. Maybe not 3 to 4 times more per country, but I would assume it's around at least around 1,000
players.
Yeah.
Ooh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. There's not an infinite pool of competitive players.
Fair enough, but I think France has hosted quite big tournaments, and even Spain.
No,
and I think
they never had big tournaments in France. They have big tournaments in Spain and in Spain.
Yeah,
but
Spain
not
is
in France.
Quite easy to go to France in general.
To France, yes, not to Lille.
Yes, not to Lille. Fair enough.
Understand that France is the biggest. It's the biggest country in Europe. After, unless you count Russia as part of.
Yeah. Most of their parts are in Asia. So
depends on how you look at it. It's the biggest country in Europe. So it's not far. It's very, very far for people who are from Spain and Italy.
Depends, we are from Scandinavia, so I think for us, just being in a neighbor country, that's
close. That's close.
Doesn't matter if you need to switch train 3 times. It's close.
If I had to predict, I think it's going to be bigger. It's going to be the biggest, but I don't think it's going to be by a lot. I think it's going to be maybe like 600 players.
Okay.
If I had to make a call.
Yeah.
It's also Lille is not very accessible by plane. Because it doesn't have a great international airport. That's a big blocker as well. The fact that you have to go to Belgium or to Paris to get there first is a big blocker.
Swedes are flying to Brussels and just take a transfer bus or something for an hour. Or something.
So that's definitely that's something that's going to hurt the popularity. It would have been Paris. It would have been way more popular.
I know. Yeah, probably. I know that they probably chose Lille because I think Lille hosted something like a 2,000 player or 1,000 player Lorcana event. So it was might be in the same venue. This is me just guy guessing. But like probably it's been tested out, like, and that's why they chose it. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's cheaper as well than having a location in Paris.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to hear a bit from both of you guys what you feel about the meta, because we of course had a huge change after the suspension of Django, Triple Dark Raid, and DJ. But I'm curious now if you think we're gonna see something special about the Lille meta and European meta, or is it the same that we see everywhere, and kind of a little bit what you guys expect?
I think, yeah, I can go first. There is a sector coming up this weekend, right, in the US, Richmond. Yeah, so I think if nothing like very special comes out of that, I think it's going to be a quite open meta with like no deck being like this close to 20%. It's going to be a fair share. Like Sabine and Quinlan will be, I think, the two most popular, and then there is going to be like a wide variety of like mid-range and control decks. Maybe a bit more control decks now because it's Europe, and like I think now is an okay place to play them. So a lot of people like tend to take the chance in Europe as long as it looks okay to play control. So that's how I think it's gonna look, unless Richmond like shows 8 Sabine in top 8, like something like that.
It's not gonna happen.
I don't think so either. But
like one of the things is like that you guys need to understand that hard control is the most successful archetype ever in the story Stars Limited. Like if you compare how the deck has performed, so you're coming with my hot takes here, leading up to the name. But yeah, if you compare the success of the deck compared to the amount of people playing it, it's absolutely insane. Like how many major tournaments being won by Bosk? Like we had Liverpool, Bosk winning. We have the biggest Barcelona, one of the biggest Star Wars Limited event won by Bosk, was the first actually, and then myself in Birmingham, it was just 200 players tournament. Like the success of the deck compared to the amount of people who are playing it is absolutely staggering. So yeah, I think Bosk is very strong, but there's just not that many people willing to play it. So because people are like it's playing like a hard control tournament whenever you're going to be playing 13 rounds. That's not something that people are looking forward to do.
No.
But yeah, so my prediction is that the meta is going to be. Sorry, you were done, Adam? Do you want to do?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go.
So, and I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you say. It's going to be very open. It might be the best meta we've ever had in Southampton in terms of like diversity. It could be.
That's cool.
I don't think Quinlan is even close to be on the same power level than Han Yellow was in set 3, or Boba was in set 2, and Django was in set at the beginning of set 4. I think it's not even close to that. Quinlan has many counters. If you want to know more about my take on the meta, you can just watch my video, which I just published like 2 days ago, when I have a meta overview, so to get into a bit more details about it. But I think Quinlan is a very, very beatable deck, so I don't expect it to dominate that much. We were saying just conventionally that Quinlan is going to be the most popular, but to be fair, it could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Cad Bane is more popular than Quinlan, honestly. Like,
and not Sabine?
Or Sabine, Sabine or Cad Bane. Any of those decks could be. I'll be very surprised if Bosk Blue is the most popular. I'm also like Bosk Green is going to be pretty popular, and then Han.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget about Han Red, Han Yellow, Han Green is going to be very popular. You can put the meta is so open. You can put any of the decks that I've talked about. You could put them on top of the chart. In terms of popularity, doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but it definitely going to be.
And there will be quite a lot of Palpatines this time, I think. Palpatine and Piet this time.
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Palpatine is such like it's. If you tell me one deck I do not enjoy playing against or playing is Palpatine. Like it's so boring. It's so not interesting. And it's coming from someone who's played control. So
you think Palpatine is worse than hard control decks?
Yeah, I explain you why. Control is not boring to play against. It's just a different game. You have to it's just a different way to play the game. It's a different game.
Yeah.
It's a
It still
different
could be like people can still think it's boring, but yeah, it's a different kind of game.
Yeah, it's subjective. I get that.
Yeah.
But in terms of like from a pure like win rate, like a lot of decks have games into Basque Blue. A lot of games, and it's not often unless the deck is really the guy is not really prepared for the matchup at all. Like you can totally see it being games that are close and interesting. Palpatine is producing the most boring games ever because it's a deck that basically wipe its feet on 7% of the deck that exists out there. It literally says, "Okay, we're not even going to play the game. You're gonna do whatever you do, and then I'm just gonna pull my balls on your face and I'm gonna kill you." Like it's just that it's stupid. Well, if you play against aggro, then it's not even a game. Like you say, okay, well, you can just give your deck to the opponent and say, okay, this is it. I'm just gonna go grab a coffee or something, because there's like it has very very extreme matchups. So in terms of like how close the game are, it's Palpatine is very very boring to play against because it's either auto win or I wouldn't say auto lose. There's very few decks that have a balanced, interesting matchup against Palpatine.
Yeah, and I think your take there is like very like universal. Like I know a lot of players that don't like playing into Palpatine because of that. Like, and like not too skilled players also always lose to Palpatine because they don't know how to play around the flip turn. That like you just lose.
Okay, no.
In my opinion, like because I don't mind playing against Palpatine because I basically always win with almost any deck against Palpatine.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but like maybe it's the Palpatine players. Like everyone is just like because we played a lot of Anakin Blue.
Yeah.
And everyone was telling me like I'm just losing to Palpatine. I was like, how? You just chip him down and force him to make a bad flip, and nobody could do it basically, apparently, but me. But I agree with you. Like the most people like find that matchup very hard to play or boring. I would say
it's not boring in terms of like the content of the game. It's boring in terms of like feeling helpless. Like it feels extremely helpless playing Palp. Like playing around Palp, I get it, but no. Like the cost of playing around Palp is you losing the game. That's what it is. Like
it depends on deck, but
most of the time. I mean, I can tell you that I'm like also what I don't like about playing Palpatine is like it punish you for playing fair. So it's really bad for the game because what we want to play, the game you want to encourage as much as possible, games to be fair and fun in terms of like people playing normal styles limited. What is the best deck against Palpatine? Extreme aggro or extreme control. Those are the best deck against Palp. That's why I play Bosk, because I don't want to lose to Palp. Because Bosk has a very good matchup into Palp. Like we pretty kind of, it depends on really what kind of build they have.
Yeah.
Palp Yellow is pretty bad, but then against Palp Blue or Palp Green is really good. So it's like it's a deck that punishes you for playing fair. All fair decks that I try to play that are really fun, that kind of out of the box. Like I play stuff like my Boba Daimyo or even Anakin. I think, or even like any fair mid-range deck, all those decks lose to Palp. So that's not fun. So I don't like the impact that the deck that the leader has on the meta, and I don't like playing the game because it creates very extreme games where you either win or very comfortably or you lose. I can predict the outcome of a game of Palpatine even before it starts, in 80% of the case, and that's, in my opinion, is really bad. But it's anyway. I love the character. I love Palp, but it just the deck is too extreme.
All right, then we got a little bit of a taste of the hot takes. But moving on, I'm a bit curious because a regional qualifier is quite different from what people might have attended already with PQs and so forth. Do you feel like there's a lot of differences planning and going to these events? What you guys think? We've already talked about finding a deck that you know rather than finding the best deck. But any other tips?
I think this tip is even more true for a large tournament than for a small one.
Yeah.
because if you're going to a large tournament, you're going to be playing a lot of rounds, so you need to be able to play them very in a good timing and without spending too much mental energy, like too much brain power. So playing a deck that you know in a large tournament like this is far more important than a small tournament where you can make meta calls depending on the local meta. It's also very difficult to predict the meta on such a large tournaments, and also even if you predict the right tournament, the right meta, if you have the right meta call, doesn't mean. I always remember when in Manchester, I brought Kira Green. I was really confident about the meta for Kira Green, and the meta was great for Kira, but you got 5% of palps, and I played against 2 palps, and that was it. And I was out of top 8 because I lost against 2 palp, because the deck auto lose 2 palp. Going back to the palp. And so it's not because you make the right meta call. Like there's also like luck involved in terms of who you're going to be playing against as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, just bring the deck you're the most comfortable with, that you think you do well into the meta, and that's the best advice we can give on such. And then also there's prep in terms of like prepping for the tournaments is like bring food, eat a lot of food between rounds, lots of snacks. Make sure you're not dehydrated, because it's also large tournament like this is not only have a good sleep. That's hard to do whenever you go to an hotel, but make sure you can sleep into decent condition. Don't go there like YOLO thinking that you're gonna find somewhere just like, don't stress yourself with external factors. So prepare yourself from a logistical standpoint is very important.
Yeah, and I agree with the most part there, like especially like the preparing part, like for a local tournament, like exactly like in Scandinavia, when it's going to come 40 players, you kind of know a lot of your local meta, so you can predict, maybe predict what the best players are coming with, and then do a switch. But like, even if you predict what some of the best players are playing here, you will probably not face any of them in 9 rounds, unless maybe one of them, if you go 9-0 or something, because there are so many good ones at the top, and there are like, this meta is not like, if it was a Django meta, then you can't bring a deck that is bad into Django. But since it feels a lot more open now, you can bring like not anything, but anything that's good and you are comfortable with. Like we've seen Luke taking top 8s, so, and I wouldn't say that that's a tier S deck.
That's really cool to have that feeling that all cards are on the table, kind of, and it's time.
Which is sad for me, because I like to play the absolute best deck. Like when on yellow, I was like, great, it's the best deck. I'm gonna pilot it best. I'm gonna fix the mirror, and then I'm just gonna beat everyone else.
Yeah, you just want that one size fits all. But this is a 2-day event, right? And a lot of side events, huge convention hall. How's that gonna be? Because I haven't been to any of those.
Yeah, so in my opinion, like event like this should be more than a tournament. There should be a celebration of the game. There should be a convention for the game. It should be like Star Wars Limited Con, a bit like the Magic Fest are nowadays, and there used to be like the Grand Prix used to be. Unfortunately, as far as I've seen, when I went to Liverpool, we were not there. That was not. There's still some significant adjustments, and I've talked about this to the member of Organized Play. That are from FFG, and I've sent my feedback to them in real life, and I think they failed on that part. They failed on Liverpool was not a success on that part in terms of the side events were ridiculously expensive. The prize wall was not up there. So this is going to be an adjustment. This is season 0. It's a season 0 because they are making adjustments. They basically what happened. I was very excited about playing side events on day 2 because I didn't manage to make day 2. So I was like super excited about it, and then we saw the price of a draft with my friends, and we said, okay, guys, we're just gonna buy boosters and draft ourselves, and we didn't draft within the organization. We just drafted with our own cards. I then drafted with the price the card that I had for price. So it was really regrettable that we were in that situation where we prefer to basically run our own thing rather than just taking part in the event. Also, there were no such thing as cosplay. There were nobody coming in to sign cards. I think for me, the basics of like a thing like this would be a cosplay competition. An artist coming over to sign cards. That's something that's always very popular. And then loads of affordable and fun side event. An event like this should not be made to make a profit. They should be made as a celebration of the community in order to have fun. And so we should have lower price drafts, lower price sealed, better rewards, and all that stuff. And that should be provided by FFG. And
they've actually done, like in Destiny, they had like I was in Euros. Their side events there was amazing. The ones they had, and awesome affordable price pool. Unfortunately, their main tournament prize was awful, like complete awful. It was more like beneficiary to not make the top cut and play in the side events than actually like winning the tournament. So that's a bigger problem. But like they know how to make like good side events. But hopefully they have learned from Liverpool. Like it shouldn't be expensive, as you say. It's
and the thing is, like, also I remember like OPE, which is the organizer of Liverpool, they made that event as well in Manchester, and Manchester was great, and Birmingham as well. And Birmingham, I didn't do side event because I was obviously in the top 8. But in Manchester, I actually did side event. I did a super draft.
Okay.
Is it one from each set?
No, super draft is basically a draft made out of multiple pods of drafts. So you get 3 pod of draft of 8 player, and then the winner of each draft would be play a round robin against the others, basically.
Cool. Yeah.
And that was really awesome. It was nice to have actually draft tournaments, draft like being taken seriously, and the prize was sick. I came second place to that super draft, and I got like a booster box and a set of pins, which are worth about $120. So that was pretty good. That was almost like $200 of pricing, just to take part in the draft. And the price of the draft was not even that expensive. It was just basically the price of the booster plus like maybe £5.
Nice.
So that was very nice. So I understand, like, and for me, the what was in Liverpool was a huge step back as far as side events.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm looking really forward to going this, just the scale of it, and the fact the Sunday is May the 4th, so it's gonna be Star Wars Day.
Yeah, they have such an opportunity to make that insane.
Exactly. Yeah, they should do something special there. It would be cool.
It's also like going back to the cosplay thing. Is like everybody has, like, not everybody, but most Star Wars fans have some sort of costume for Star Wars. And Star Wars is such a popular IP, it's a huge missed opportunity that they're now doing some sort of cosplay competition and stuff.
Yeah, that would bring like even like people in the not too far away would come that doesn't even play the game.
Yeah. And also another thing I saw in Liverpool is like you were not allowed to get into the building unless you had the pass, which is ridiculous. It should be free to everybody to get in. Everybody should be free to get in the event. And then obviously if you want to take part in the event, you need to pay. But I don't understand why. The venue is massive. Like there's way enough space for a couple of other people to come in. And there's not that going to be that many people coming in anyway. So it's kind of like, they're missing out on those kind of like opportunities a little bit. Maybe it's a security requirement. Maybe there's some sort of other stuff going on. But ideally, it should be open to everybody.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We are getting close to the end here. Do you have any last topics for Lille?
No, I won't be in Lille, but I will playing a store showdown. Okay. Where there will be a cosplay
almost
competition
the same.
in my local game store.
What are you dressing up to?
I don't have anything related to Star Wars, and I don't have any space to store anything in Star Wars. So unfortunately, I won't be wearing anything. But I know some people will, and it's going to be good. Lots of fun.
Nice.
I don't know if bringing my Star Wars Armada army would be. I'll play Piet, and then every time I play a card, I will play the equivalent of the miniatures on the battlefield.
Nice.
That would be nice. Yeah.
I actually
Armada is big.
Yeah, I actually have all the miniatures that are in the Piet deck, because you got like the Corvus.
Yeah.
The only problematic one is like when I bring the what's it called, the superstar destroyers. This one takes a lot of space on the table. But I could do this if I wanted to. If you play Annihilator.
The Annihilator. All right, guys. It's been a blast. What do you guys think? You have any predictions for Lille? Now's the chance.
What deck is going to win? Or
We've already talked meta, but
what's good topic?
Who's going to win it? Thorrk has already bet on Bosk.
Winning deck, Bosk.
I think maybe let's
just
say
a winning
Sabine.
deck. Oh. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I have another answer to give, but I won't give it because it is classified information.
Oh, okay. So watch out for the Enigma players coming to Lille, guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
Anyways, thanks for coming on, Thorrk. It's been a blast.
May the force be with you.
Yeah,
Bye.
and thank you for co-hosting, Adam. And we'll see you next week. May the force be with you.